Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey David, how you doing today?
Good. I mean, it's another sour day for Oiler fans. The Oilers giving away another third period lead and then get beat in overtime by, a team that hasn't been having a lot of success this year, the New York Islanders. So it's the same as yesterday. In some ways, it's kind of worse. The Oilers gave up what was the grade A shots today, Bruce? 17-10, I think.
The nine was, I think, the
17-9 for the grade A shots. So the Islanders took it to the Oilers in this game, and not even in overtime could Edmonton get anything going. Really, they just they were flat, and they got outplayed, and they did get a loser point. Bruce, their second loser point, two loser points. So you could look at it. They went into these two games and they split them on the road. Not a disaster in terms of points, getting points, but kind of a bad feeling around this team right now. And lots of acrimony, upset, constipation among Oiler fans in regards to this team.
consternation, at least, yes.
I'd say both.
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly. So let's do our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast about Edmonton's 3-2 loss to the New York Islanders. What is your good thing, Bruce?
To the last place, New York Islanders, eighth in the Metropolitan Division, one day after they lost to the seventh place New Jersey Devils. You could say split. To me, it's a split if they got win one of the two in overtime, but they're just treading water on the standings. These were by far the two easiest games on the road trip. Anyway, my good thing, such as it is, I thought the bottom six was okay, and I like the look of the line of Ryan McLeod between Warren Foegele and your favorite Kyle Turris, who I thought they controlled the play pretty good. They had puck in Islanders territory a lot more than most of the Oilers did, and in fact, they had four shots on net to just two against in almost 12 minutes. Like they gave up nothing, and they couldn't score, but they came close a couple times, and during one sort of crossover shift where McDavid played center, there was a great chance Turris set him up for that. McDavid missed the net, and then Foegele set him up from behind the net, McDavid a second time, and he pounded one in on goal, and they were at least attacking the net one time. And if I have a criticism of Ryan McLeod's game, it's that he does not attack the net. And we saw some of that in overtime when he got lots of ice time and he spent a fair bit of it with the puck on his stick, but not actually doing anything with it.
There was a
And
moment there, wasn't there, where he
there,
just clearly
there was a
had
lane
the net.
shoot. Yeah.
Well, shoot or charge, big boy.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
big version of Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Yeah. Good point.
Stop with the perimeter play. Bruce, I agree with you on this line. It was okay. They didn't. It was okay in the fact that they didn't create any grade A shots, but they didn't give up any grade A shots. They did. When Foegele was out there with McDavid, he made a great play where he won the puck behind the net and passed it out front to McDavid for a hellacious chance. Would have been nice to see McDavid score on that one. But
right after Turris had set McDavid up and he backhanded one just by the post. So not a chance by our counts, but
not a
definitely
shot.
A good look because not a shot.
Yeah, not a shot. But that McLeod is looking good out there, but he's looking good in that perimeter style of play. He's looking increasingly at home in the NHL. He is new to the league. It takes a while for players to get adjusted, and he at least he looks better and better. He's not getting the results yet necessarily, although he had a couple assists the last game, so that was excuse me, that was something. So yeah, maybe there are a few results, but he's starting to fit in, and you're starting to think, well, just maybe he's going to be a contributing member of this team in the bottom six, which is exactly what they're so desperate for on this franchise. And he's a great big guy, but again, he doesn't play a physical game, and I don't know if that's in his repertoire, but it should be to take the puck hard to the net, to drive that puck to the net. I like Fogel's game a lot. Like, he's the kind of big rough guy, big rough winger that the Oilers really needed in their bottom six, and he did stand out. Bruce, my good thing is the second goal by the Edmonton Oilers. First goal was nice too. It's nice to see a goal going off someone's skate. That was good from the other team. But a lot happened right on the Oilers' second goal and second and last goal. Starting with McDavid just getting that puck, wheeling up from behind the net, taking it into the slot. Now that's, watch that, Ryan McLeod. He's no bigger than you are. He might be a bit faster, but not much. He's a lot better with the puck. But he could do that. Ryan McLeod could make that play now and then. And McDavid he does it, again and again and again, because he's big, fast, and he's also fearless. You have to, I have to give McDavid credit for that. He goes for it constantly, risking getting absolutely plastered with hits, including dirty hits, and making plays like that. So he takes it into the slot, and who's there to start banging away at it with a fury but Zach Hyman, who has been a great acquisition for the Edmonton Oilers, again, along with Foegele. Just the kind of forward they need, a big body guy who works hard, smart defensively, and is willing to hit in the corners. I like both these players a lot. Hyman especially has been great. And on that play, he got one where he jammed it on net. And then the next one, I think he was trying to pass it to Puljujarvi in the slot. He didn't actually get a shot. He tried to pass it to Yessa, but it went past Puljujarvi, hit a player in the skate, and rebounded to Darnell Nurse, who was crashing the net, right? They were all crashing the net. Puljujarvi was crashing that. Hyman, McDavid, all of them. And because of that, when Darnell Nurse unleashed a shot, Jesse Puljujarvi was right in the way of it to screen the goalie. The goalie didn't have a chance, and it was a goal. Fantastic play by everyone. And again, brings to mind the story that Murdoch Davis likes to tell us about being at Oilers practice. And Glenn Sather constantly yelling at the players, get to the fracking net. And he didn't use the word fracking. Get to the fracking net. Get to the fracking net. And it's what the Oilers have got to do to score some goals here. They got to do it more. And this line has all the components to do it and manufacture even strength goals. So they did it there. Good for them.
Islanders got two of their goals by going hard to the net. Big Anders Lee, man, that guy's a handful, eh? And nobody on the Oilers could handle him today.
Yeah.
And that's, boy, it would be nice to get a player like that.
Well, Hyman's kind of like he
bit.
doesn't have quite those hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
But well, they could trade for Evander Kane.
There you go.
He's that kind of player. If Al Davis was running the team, they'd say just win, baby, and they'd trade for him. But Al Davis isn't running the team, and probably would be kicked out of the Century if he was in it still. All right, your bad thing, Bruce.
My bad thing is the 2-2 goal early in the third, and specifically the poor play of Slater Koekkoek on that goal, where New York was coming through the center zone on a standard rush. Koekkoek was probably 15 feet, had a decent gap, sort of 15 feet behind the guy that eventually beat him. The puck got dumped behind Koekkoek into the corner. And his job there, I mean, he had enough of a head start. His job there is to turn, get to the puck, move the puck. And he just was slow in responding to it. He took a bad route to the puck. By the time he got there, he was still first, but the guy was on his tail. He tried to straddle the puck along the boards and saw it off, which it should have been his puck in the first place. By then it was getting closer to a 50-50 puck, and then he cleanly lost that battle. He just got stripped of the puck, and the guy just brought it right out in front of the net. And chaos, and eventually the 2-2 ensued from that. And it was just a chance that came out of nothing because a routine play was not executed by the Oilers defenseman. And, in the NHL, you're trying to hold a 1-goal lead in the third period. You got to execute those routine plays, and it just didn't happen there. And it was poor, and it was early in the third. And you think Edmonton's got lots of time to bounce back, but they had no gas in the tank. It didn't seem like in the third. After a very strong second, they had nothing left, and that lead didn't last long. And it was largely because of that. one week sequence. And I mean, Tyson Barrie wasn't able to cut out the pass in front of the net, but by the time Barrie had anything to do with it, the puck had went from a non-threatening position to a very threatening position, and that was mainly on Cuckoo.
Yeah, Barry's in a tough spot. Like we give players primary mistakes, major mistakes on grade A shots against when you're in the slot like Tyson Barrie was and you fail to make the play. But by then he is in a hard spot. There's all kinds of stuff happening, players buzzing around, and it's the initial play that's almost always it's the initial mistake, which is always the primary, the most important mistake. And I didn't notice that. I knew I could see that you were really mad at Cuckoo from some of your comments on our shared, which we eliminate, like we edit it as we go along, so no one else sees these comments that you and I make as the game goes along. But there was a few, I could see your exasperation, and I didn't quite get it. But just in terms of your description, now I can see why you're mad, because I just kind of went quick. I was looking quickly, like the play, like when he had the puck. But you're mad
Right.
about before that, like his line to the puck, getting there fast, and that's such a crucial play in hockey.
Yeah.
Get back there, get that puck, and they're always, working with the defenseman on that. So if he was slow on that, I see why you're listing this as your bad thing, Bruce. I agree. That is a very bad thing if a defenseman is lazy in getting back to that puck.
I wouldn't say lazy. He just didn't read it very well, and he just wasn't
Slow then, yeah.
quick enough. And so he turned what should have been an easily won puck into a battle, and then he badly lost the battle.
Yeah.
The guy came out of it with the puck, and he didn't take the man or the puck. In the end, the guy came right out from the corner with it.
Yeah. Lazy
Yeah.
implies a state of mind that I don't know that he had. So you're right.
Right.
It's not a good word. It's more like he was slow to the puck, and we don't know why.
Yeah.
It could be any number of reasons. So I'm tempted, Bruce. It's a quandary. What my bad thing is going to be. I was thinking of Evan Bouchard, who's in another defensive slump and is leaking grade A shots against right now. And I'm going to say it's not a coincidence that whoever of the right shot demon who gets promoted to the top pairing, whether it's Tyson Barrie or Evan Bouchard, starts to really struggle defensively. Darnell Nurse can hang in there in that difficult role. It is a very tough thing to do. It's play top minutes. And both Barrie and Bouchard got their defensive games together when they were demoted to the third pairing, moved down the lineup against lesser competition. And the second they're moved up again, all of a sudden, voila, they start to just, make mistake after mistake. And that's what we're seeing from Evan Bouchard right now. But I'm going to go instead with the overtime goal. I really didn't like it on a number of levels. I don't know if McDavid and Draisaitl and Nurse were out, how long they were out on the ice for that, but in the last two games, we've seen some overtime. I don't know what their marching orders are, but when I start to sense Draisaitl and McDavid have been out there already for 60, 70 seconds, and one of them is charging in with the puck to the zone, and the other one goes with them on the offensive attack, I think, why are you doing this? Don't you understand that this could have really negative repercussions? That you do have your superstars, you have a chance to score. Sometimes it works out, but just more often than not, you're going to get caught on a dangerous chance against because you're too tired. And this happened this game, early in the game, where they didn't come off when there was opportunity to. Don't think it happened on the winning goal, though. I'm pretty sure that they were fairly freshly out on the ice, but maybe not. In any case, McDavid was slow to close down the gap in the neutral zone, which leads to the Islanders just charging fast right into the Oilers zone, like no one on them, no one blocking their way. And then Nurse gives up the blue line as well, and gives the outside shot. The shot was kind of started at the top of the circles when he was winding up, and so you could say high slot. And I think Koskinen had a clear view of that shot. It was a hell of a shot. He really picked the corner. It was a hell of a shot. That said, if a goalie on a good goalie on a winning team, he will make that save. He will stop that shot. It won't go in. And maybe it's a grade A shot, but NHL goalies have got to stop 3 out of 4 grade A shots. Koskinen didn't have it. A big shot at a big moment, and it was just really disappointing. he couldn't come up big in that moment. So.
Yeah, Draisaitl actually wasn't on the ice for the game winner. Second day in a row, it was on McDavid's watch, and not and Draisaitl was on the bench
Yeah,
when it
he
was
shifted off
scored.
Yamo.
He
That's right.
shifted off. Yamamoto came on, but really, I thought neither McDavid nor Nurse was aggressive. As the puck came into the zone, Nurse kind of backed off, and McDavid, I don't know if he was looking for a second player or a trailer or something, because it looked like he could have challenged the puck carrier, and he left him to Nurse, and Nurse kind of left him to Koskinen, and Dobson made a wicked shot. Kind of interesting that New York is happy to use Noah Dobson in overtime in the NHL when his exact draft contemporary Evan Bouchard, I don't think he's gotten a shift in overtime that I can remember. Like it's just like the Oilers have a different level of trust in their player. I mean, Bouchard, think how deadly he could be in a 3-on-3 situation with his range of skills. He could win you the game the way Noah Dobson did win it for New York today. So
Bruce,
anyway,
ain't that the
that's
truth?
just an aside, but it's yeah.
It's a good observation because Evan Bouchard is as good an offensive player, if not better than Noah Dobson.
Yep.
And you can say at 5-on-5 against tough competition, he's iffy, but on 3-on-3, I really like Evan Bouchard's chances. It's like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He is a fantastic special teams player and a mediocre even strength player. But when you have these players who thrive in these special situations when there's fewer players on the ice, use them.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And Darnell Nurse is a fantastic hockey player. I'm glad he's out there in overtime, but I sure wouldn't mind seeing Evan Bouchard myself. So yeah, good observation. So we got our numbers.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the number 0. Number of power plays the Edmonton Oilers had in this game. And my auxiliary number is 2, which is the number of power plays the Oilers have had on the entire road trip. And I'm starting to get pretty choked at some of these non-calls that are going on out there. And today in particular, I became enraged late in the first period when Tyson Barrie letting go a one-time shot from the slot was basically cross-checked in the head by Matthew Barzal. It's kind of a reaction play by Barzal. He saw the collision coming. He brought a stick up and he nailed Barrie, and Barrie went down. And he went to the bench, and he was clearly taking a hit right in the head. Somehow the refs missed that, and somehow they missed every other single thing that New York Islanders did. And at 64 minutes of pretty hard checking aggressive hockey. I mean, I admire the way the Islanders play, but you cannot tell me that they can play an entire game without committing a single infraction. And yet they called a cheap one on McDavid early, and they called a fairly late one that I thought Section 106 called on Darnell Nurse in the immediate play after they missed the Barrie headshot. And that, of course, led to New York opening the scoring on the power play. And then they put their whistles away, and there was nothing else. Like in overtime, a guy skated right through the blue paint and decked Koskinen. And sure, Mikko moved, but you're not allowed to skate through the blue paint. And Wes McCauley, supposedly the best referee in the NHL, is looking right at it and saying, okay, well, I guess if you're on New York Islanders and you're playing the Oilers, it's okay.
Are
And
you
I would
allowed to
say,
move in front of the player though?
well, the guy's not supposed to go through the blue paint. That's the goalie's space.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
Oh,
Bruce. That one, like when I first saw it, I thought definite. Like, how did that happen? Then you see it
mm-hmm.
again, and you see Koskinen move out to block his path.
Well,
So I'm not sure
he's
if Koskinen.
protecting his space, and the guy has to go around him because he's not allowed to go through the blue paint. Well, I guess today he was. See, Koskinen was barking at the ref, and you don't see that very often. Anyway, it was kind of another one of those days. Now on this road trip, the Oilers have played now 3 games. They've had 2 power plays, and the other teams had 8. 2 to 8. Now I grant you that it's not like 50-50 every game, but geez, how about a call once in a damn while? Seriously.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, we just never see the Oilers in that power play game state anymore, do we? They're
Best
just
power play in the
don't get
league.
the
Well, we can
chance.
stop that. Nothing to see here. David got hit like Somebody said 5 seconds after he touched the puck. A very late hit on McDavid. No problem.
So Bruce,
I'm fed up with it.
Yeah, I see that. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I guess I'm just inured to it.
Well, I want my team to have a fair chance, like a fair chance.
Yeah, and that power play goal changes everything for the Oilers.
Well, or for the Islanders, as in this case.
Yeah.
They got those 2 chances, and I mean, they had a good power play. They nearly scored on their first power play, and they quickly scored on their second one, and
suddenly
that was that.
Suddenly the Oilers penalty kill seems out of sync.
Yeah.
It's starting to let in lots of. They seem to be chasing the puck at the wrong moment and not winning it, and then that leads to a good shot. And my number is a series of grade A shot numbers on this road trip. The Oilers were outshot on grade A shots, scoring chance shots. They go in about 25 to 30% of the time. 17 to 11 by the Blues. 18 to 16 by the Devils, and now 17 to 9 by the Islanders. Bruce, even though they were losing in the previous 10-game segment, they had more grade A shots than the other guy. It was a function of special teams, their luck changing on special teams, their efficiency changing somewhat on special teams, and goaltending, bad goaltending for the Oilers and good goaltending for the opposition. I think that really explained that losing streak. Right now, though, Bruce, they're a bad team. They're not playing strong hockey. They're playing weak hockey. Maybe part of it is getting fewer power plays. I'd have to do the even strength numbers to break that out. But it ain't going on for them right now. And I don't know what they're going to do about this. They gotta, they got to come up with kind of a monumental effort. I'm just doing the even strength numbers as we speak. So,
well, I can tell you from the overall numbers you just gave me, 17 against in one game is a lot. 17, 18, and 17 in 3 consecutive games is a lot. What's the average that we get for a game? 10 to 12 high danger chances each way, grade A shots?
Yeah.
Certainly not 17.
Yeah, it is not. I'm just about done here doing these, what they are at even strength, because your power play number, that 8-2 power play thing, 12. Okay, so against the Blues, I think it was, yeah. So the Oilers, against the Devils, the Oilers actually had 16 grade A shots at even strength. The Devils had 12. In this game, it was 12 to 9 at even strength for the Islanders. And in the Blues game, it was 16-11 for the Blues at even strength. So in 2 games, they've been fairly decisively outchanced at even strength. And the other game against New Jersey, they fairly decisively outchanced New Jersey at even strength. So some of this big deficit we're starting to see in grade A shots is coming from them not getting the same power play opportunities as the other team. And Bruce, there's nothing on this earth that is going to convince me the Oilers have been the more aggressive fouling team in these last 3 games. I don't see that at all. I just think that's not what I'm seeing on the ice. That's nonsense. So your anger at this penalty deficit is well justified. Good point. That was a really good number.
0 is kind of a unique number, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's the first time all year they've had 0. Most games they were getting like at least 2 token power play opportunities. It was like the league think, well, it's part of the show. Edmonton's great power play, so we got to give them at least 2 looks. And then now the last 3 games, 1, 1, 0.
I just feel like swearing so much right now, Bruce, but I'm really, really feel like swearing a lot.
So exasperating. I mean, of the 2 power plays, one of them, I actually thought it wasn't a very good call. One of them was that face-off delay of game call that was made by the linesman. So the refs have made like 1 call.
There was a trip by Bouchard earlier in the game that I think Jack Michaels pointed out that really was a trip.
Yeah, well, there was an angle later. It was kind of incidental, but I mean, it could have been called, and fine. If you're going to call it, set the standard. Just call it both bloody ways.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
Okay, so the Monday night in New York, Wednesday night in
Toronto.
Toronto. Oh my goodness. So two tough games coming up here.
Yep.
This road trip will be a success if they win one of those games. And we'll see what happens. We don't know it's with Mike Smith, if he's going to be playing or not. I guess they're going to get a little break
He
after that. Go
he
ahead.
wasn't even dressed today, Mike Smith.
I
They
know
had
Carnival.
Cannavale as backup because Smith had a supposed upper body injury, but he sure was flexing his leg and looked like his knee after that pile up yesterday in the third period.
Yeah, it's starting to become really apparent, Bruce. They got to trade for a goalie. Even if Mike Smith comes back and plays well, him getting nicked and banged up so much, um, it's, it's a function of age, and he's not getting any younger. He won't be any younger in the playoffs. If Mike Smith gets hurt in the playoffs, which could easily happen, then you're with Koskinen and Skinner, and I don't think that's good enough for this team this year. Um, I'm not content with that. I think that they're going to have to make a move for a goalie. This is what, this is the message that's being driven home right now. So even if there are other needs at center, at third line center, at defense, left defense, they've got to address the goalie situation, and probably the sooner the better. And maybe that means that Koskinen will be out. If Smith's back, maybe it'll be the new goalie and Smith for the rest of the year. But that works too. If they can figure out a way to make the cap hit work. But that's what they got to do, I think. What do you think?
Well, I think they got lots of problems, and that's one of them. But they haven't got any cap flexibility at all. It's dollar in, dollar out because of the long-term injury reserve situation. They haven't banked any cap space that they can use on a deadline acquisition. And trouble is that Stuart Skinner, who has showed well, next year he's no longer waiver exempt. So if he's going to make the team, he's going to be, as a backup next year. Well, Mike Smith has this thing called a 2-year contract that they signed him this off season. And because he signed it well beyond the age of 35, even if he retires, the Oilers can't lose that cap hit. The only way they can is if somehow he goes on long-term injured reserve, which the way things are going, that's certainly not impossible. But again, there's a kind of Koskinen's contract is gone after this year, and he is too.
Yeah.
Maybe he leaves a little early, but I don't think he'll be back. But the way the contracts line up now, they got Skinner and Smith, and they either take a chance with Skinner, or else they're going to have an extra contract on their hands. So it's not an ideal situation to say the least. I like Skinner, and I want to see him get a fair chance, and he got a real good look this year. But next year that equation changes, and how that's going to play out, we'll see.
It strikes me that it would be unlikely he would pass through waivers,
Yeah,
Skinner, next year, based on the way he's
yeah,
played in the NHL.
yeah.
So you'd be forced with waiving Smith
Hmm.
and sending him to Bakersfield. His contract isn't so huge that it's a tremendous poison pill if you do that. So that's one option. As you mentioned, long-term injury if he continues to get banged up is another. We'll see what happens, but I do think they want to try to compete for the Stanley Cup this year. I think that should be their mindset, and they have a first-round pick this year that they could trade it, get a goalie, and see who's out there. Um, they probably don't want to part with a first-round draft pick for a rental in terms of a goalie. So it will be someone who will be with competing with Skinner and Smith next year. And I think the Oilers probably, I'm guessing, have enough vision that they'll find a way to keep Skinner. I don't think another team would take Mike Smith on waivers. It's unlikely, if depending on what happens this year. I mean, a lot could change this year if he comes back and plays lights out in the playoffs. That changes a lot. But at this point, that's the move I'm seeing, because we all went into this season knowing that injuries were going to be could be a major issue with Mike Smith. It's turning out to be the case, and it's getting close to decision time. They're not quite there, but they're close. I mean, if they have to go with Koskinen in the next 2 games because he's out, exactly.
Well, maybe he plays lights out. I mean, Koskinen is
Maybe he
capable
does.
of ramping it up and playing well for stretches. And I thought he played pretty well today. Winning goal, debatable as we've discussed, but I thought he played well today. And you know, I don't hate Koskinen as a goalie, but you know, he's got his limitations, and he's certainly proven that he's not one that you can rely on to be the guy for an extended period of time and keep his game at a high level.
He was really hot in the first 6 weeks, and since then has not been at all. Like he's just been generally just cold the entire time. He was like you say, Bruce. Like there was it's 17 grade A shots tonight. Maybe I think 18 actually, because the last one, you know, you're deciding that's an A, and so we'll call that an A, and that's so the 18 grade A shots. He only let in 3 of them. You know, with 18 grade A shots, you'd expect about 4 goals against, or maybe even 5. If a goalie's having a rougher night, like Smith did the previous game, and yeah, so he was good. Like I don't like if you give him a 7 or something like that or an 8.
That's
Like I wouldn't give him
exactly
an
what
8.
he
I'd
got.
give him a 7. He had a
Well,
good
I
game.
did give him
Yeah, fair enough.
good game.
Good game. Well, let's
They
leave
win
it
it
there.
if they win
Oh,
it
go
in
ahead.
overtime or the shootout. Maybe then he gets an 8.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's right.
but when when they lose it and it's on a shot where you think maybe he had a chance to save it, well, that's going to affect the grade. There's no doubt.
Yeah. All right, Bruce, you got the game grades to finish. I'll let you
Okay.
do that. Thanks for talking tonight.
All right. Thanks for listening and Happy New Year, everybody.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.